independent filmmaking. We understand that Nolan's and Jordan Peele and these guys are always going to make money. They have unlimited budgets. But given this AI and the future of technology, where do you think, are you optimistic about independent filmmaking?
I am, but you have choices. You have even more choices and you have more tools at your disposal. And I think that Jordan Peele or Nolan would see it the same way, as additional tools, and you can kind of choose your path. But you also have to be realistic. If you don't have the budget to make something on tape, you can make it digitally. If you don't have the budget to make something digitally, maybe you could do something clever with AI.